So we're going to do the product rule and the quotient rule in this video. So if I have 4 squared times 4 to the 4th. Think about what a squared means. Remember, a squared means a number times itself, or 4 times 4. What does a 4 to the 4th mean? Well, that means that there are 4 of them. So it'd be 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So if you think about that, and there's a multiplication between those two, how many do I have multiplying together? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be 4 to the 6th power. Because remember, this is 4 squared, this is 4 to the 4th. So I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to try to write a rule that makes it for any time we know what we're actually doing. So if you look, if I have 2 here and 4 here, what do I actually do with those exponents to get the 6? So what we did is we actually took this exponent and we added it. Sorry, my son is being loud in the background and he's going to get in trouble in a second. 4, 2, or so we did 4, and then we added the 2 exponents. So we did 2 plus 4 gave us the 6. We just added how many we had from here to how many we had there. Okay, so then let's do this for any number. So if I have x to the power of n times x to the power of m, all you have to do for any number is notice they have to have the same base because those were all 4s. That's why we could rewrite it as 4 to the 6th, or these are all x's. So we can rewrite it as n plus m. So let's write our rule in words. So when multiplying exponents, with the same base, notice they have the same base because the same number, you keep the base and add add the exponents. So I'm going to get my highlighter so that I can highlight the important parts. So when we are multiplying, you have to add the exponents. Make sure you keep the base. Keep the base. And then add the exponents. Okay, let's do this quotient rule. Or actually, let's talk about this problem that we were talking about in the last one. So if I have 4 x cubed x squared, remember x cubed means I have x times x times x. X squared means I have x times x. So I would simplify this problem, and in order to simplify it fully, I would have to do 4 and then x, so I kept the base, and I add the exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5, or you could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now let's do the quotient rule. So for quotient rule, quotient means divide. So when I divide numbers with the same base, so if I had 4 to the 4th over 4 squared. Think about what that means. If you ever get stuck and can't remember this rule, I always suggest you expand it out. So if I have 4 to the 4th, that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I have 4 squared, that means I have 1, 2. Now, think about what 4 divided by 4 is. Okay, so, sorry. Think about what 4 divided by 4 is. If I have 4 of something and I divide it into 4 groups, each group is going to have 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So what you're actually going to see is 4 divided by 4 cancels, 4 divided by 4 cancels. So I'm left with 4 times 4, which, think about, what is 4 times 4? Or how could I rewrite 4 times 4 with an exponent? It would be 4 squared. Let me use orange. 4 squared. That number came from, if you look back, 4 and 2, 4 minus 2 is 2. If this was a 3, it'd be 4 minus 3, and there would only be 1 left. So what we're actually doing is we're subtracting them. 4 minus 2 gave us that 2. All right, let's do it when we have an x. So if I have x to the power of n, these are separate problems, over x to the power of m, the way to simplify is doing x n minus m. Okay, so quotient rule, we're going to say when dividing exponents with the same base, keep the base and subtract the powers or the exponents. So let me highlight the important parts. So when we're dividing, keep the base and subtract exponents. So multiplying, we added them, dividing, we subtracted because they canceled out. So let's do an example. So if I had 5x squared y to the negative 3 over x cubed. So let's get rid of this negative first, since that's the first one we learned. So we're going to get rid of the negative. So it needs to move to the bottom. So it'd be y cubed. So then we would have 5x squared over x cubed, y cubed. Now let's think about what we're going to do. So I'm going to expand it out to show you one more time. So 5x squared would be 1, 2 over x cubed, 1, 2, 3. Y cubed I'm going to leave alone because there are no more y's. Now let's look at that. We have an x over an x, so that cancels. X over x, so that cancels. So I'm left with a 5. And notice there's only one x, so I would just write it as x and then y cubed. So notice the x stayed on bottom. If I would have followed the rule where I subtracted, I would have had 5x squared minus 3. 2 minus 3 is -1, so it'd be x to the -1 power, which if you think about a negative, it would move it to the bottom. And so it'd be x to the first power. I personally like doing the expanding unless it's like x to the 15th, and then I'm having to write 15 x's, and I wouldn't want to do that. So that's why in this case, I don't really, there is a rule, that's the rule to follow, but I like doing it where I just expand it. So that's why that one moved to the bottom. And we were left with y cubed already there. So it's your preference. Remember, we're just trying to give you ways to remember these things. So that's why we did it that way.